You're now listening to the Zod and Drea podcast.
Hello, everybody. We're back.
We're back, everybody. Another great episode of the Zods and Drea podcast.
And which episode number is this?
This is episode number 34.
Wow.
So think about that. We started, I think, last July or something like that. I mean, we're really pushing it through weekly, getting it to you, and letting you just listen to our voices, our opinions, and finding out what we do as a couple together and what we think about and discuss around our own roundtable. And, it's really cool that you're privy to all our discussions right here through the podcast.
Just like the whole inception of our podcast was to have you sit in our living room, have you sit in our conversations, be listening into our lives and participate in it as much as possible.
And that's it. It's such a simple idea, it's concept to just what we speak about as a couple and the things that we see, what we participate in actively, inactively, and just what our opinions are. And we love the feedback that we get. We started running into some people who have been listeners. So I'm glad we're getting out there, and shout out to you, everybody who's listening every weekend and also participates.
And who also shares our podcast, too, within their friends and colleagues. So we appreciate it so much. And again, we appreciate more than anything, too, is the feedback, letting us know your thoughts. Maybe there's a subject that you want us to talk about. We're more than happy to get all of that feedback.
And make sure you stay tuned, because we're going to wind up expanding a lot on what Zod and Dre are going to be doing within 2017. So you're going to be seeing a lot more activity and a lot more exposure, but we'll get to that later after today's topics.
Yes, that's under construction.
And talk about construction. We are talking about the wall. No, we're not going to talk about the wall. But we are going to talk about your boy Trump. It's funny. Washington Post came out today, Tuesday, 1 week away from what is it called, Valentine's Day, today, the 21st, about in his 100 days, all his gaffes, all his mistakes. So we're going to talk a little bit about that.
And then our main subject that we're going to talk about.
Yeah, this one's good. Shout out to Naomi for giving me this topic. She didn't give it to me, but she wrote something, and it sparked interest. And she's a very interesting person regardless. But it's, what does it take to have a successful long-distance relationship? So we're going to explore that a little bit.
What does it take?
So, as we get into that, I know you wanted to talk about something first.
I wanted to be a proud girlfriend right now and spotlight Zod's accomplishments this past weekend. He was asked to participate in an event this past Friday and Saturday over at the Phoenix Arts Center.
Yeah.
Phoenix Theater, sorry. I always get them confused. And
building.
What he did was he performed his music, and he was asked to be the main musical entertainment, really, for presenting what you do, your hip hop, your freestyle, and had a great show, and was able to even bring in the cast for the show that he was also supporting too, and giving some love to, and that is the cast for 21 Chump Street, which is a 15-minute play that was written by Lin Miranda.
Yeah.
And I just want to say you did a great job. And to see the students that you were helping with too, who got to perform with you, to see how they've grown with their tools, their confidence in hip hop. And freestyle, you really helped them with that. So I was just really happy to support you and to give shout outs to you. And again, you're performing next weekend.
Yeah, so it was a really nice opportunity. 21 Chump Street is a really good production. I think that the kids that I call them kids, they're actually adults, young adults, but they did a really great job on their performance. And Tim Shawver did a really great job. Tommy, man, Tommy, Kim, and Cassie, they've all done just a really great thing with this for the AC Theater Company. Who put on this production of Lin-Manuel Miranda's 21 Chump Street. So shout out to them for even inviting me to perform as the Zodiac, which is where my name comes from. So if you know it's Zod, it's the Zodiac. But, it was a lot of fun performing a whole bunch of shows. two this last weekend. It's going to be two this upcoming weekend. So if you can catch it, see me at 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock at the Phoenix Theater, and come in and join the show because it's very much audience participation.
Very
event,
much.
So it's not just hip hop; it's very much you're involved as well. So come through. So thank you, girlfriend.
Did a great job.
All right, thank you, babes. And let's just chat real quick about the 100 Days of Trump. This guy is now our president, apparently, from what I've heard. I can't tell from the way that he acts. So
I don't know about that.
Yeah, so I'm not sure yet, but that's what the memo said. Peace and shout out to the Obamas.
That's my president.
Yeah, because I need to keep a sane mind. But the Washington Post came out with 100 Days of Trump, and it lists a whole bunch of him fucking up, basically. And between the tweets and all the news information that he gives and the false information, he calls other people, fake news. The fake news is when he, number one, tries to shut up the media to only, I guess, cater to his needs.
And he made that very clear. He said if it's not a news report that doesn't support him or spotlight him, then it's fake.
So, I mean, we're talking about a propaganda machine now at work where he only wants to be shown in the proper light that he approves of and he and his administration approves of. It's like, in other words, kiss my ring, and if you don't, then I'm going to label you as this. Well, that's one of the claims. So, I mean, on immigration, you want to read this first one? Yeah.
Give the public a break. The, in bold, fake news media is trying to say that large-scale immigration in Sweden is working out just beautifully. Not.
Now, this was taken from one of his, for whatever reason, this guy isn't even in the White House. He's off in Florida like every weekend, and now he's putting on rallies. Now, I can understand rallies to a certain point. Usually, a sitting president, they don't do it that often. Obama really made it really cool. But he would talk about the things that he was doing, and putting in place, whereas Trump, he's running again.
Right, like there was the ACA. So that's why President Obama went out to the community, went out and rallied, because it was a policy, like you said.
Yeah, it was a policy, and he wanted to promote what he was trying to put out to the people, have the people back it, this and that. It's like, yeah, you can have your local people doing it, but this guy is off. He's off like, hey, look at me, look at what I can do, and look at, I'm so great, and America's great again. And it was just proven that he hasn't. And I just saw an article, I guess a piece from Fareed Zakaria, where he was like, at this point, Obama had done $1 trillion, stimulus bill. He had, rolled out health care for, I think, 4 million children. He had done all this stuff. Whereas Donald Trump has done absolutely nothing. Right. He signed a bunch of executive orders, but it's done nothing.
No, I don't even think he knows how to put a policy into play.
No, he doesn't.
I don't think he even knows how to create one.
I don't think he knows how Washington works. Like, he really needs some Schoolhouse Rock because he really doesn't know how, how to make a
how
bill.
this all works.
Yeah, how it all works. But the thing about his post with fake news media in Sweden, the thing is, Sweden... There was no massacre or anything that happened, just like the false claims that Kellyanne had said about the Bowling Green massacre that she had said like 2 or 3 times before that day. That never occurred. And it's a fear tactic. It's a fear tactic for his backers because he got elected based on fear. It was based on fear. Like, oh my God, when you walk out your door in Chicago or really anywhere, it's like it's this mass fucking crazy land where Snake Pilsen is, and it's like Escape from New York, and fucking Mad Max is out there.
Right. Mexicans want to kill you.
Everybody wants to kill you. And, I walk out the door and I'm like, yo, this is a really nice ass day. What a great day to be alive. As opposed to like 7 years ago, where it's like, damn, man, look at all these homes that are like going in foreclosure. It's like, it's really sad.
Right.
So his immigration policy on, the immigrants aren't destroying Sweden, and even the Sweden's prime minister, the former prime, it was like, what do you say? What are you smoking?
Right.
What's he smoking?
But you're right. It goes back to how he was trying to compare where Sweden has a very, very successful policy when it comes to immigration, right? Successful in the sense of how people are integrated into the community, and he's trying to show a different light of it. off of somebody who did some type of documentary that was on Fox News. He doesn't even meet with his cabinet, his team that knows about really what's going on in security.
Jack shit.
No, he immediately blames Fox News for that information. It's like, dude.
So check this out. Here's the next one. Here's his next claim. He said, jobs are already starting to pour back in. They're coming back in like you haven't seen in a long time. Ford, General Motors, Fiat, Chrysler are bringing back thousands of jobs, investing billions of dollars because of the new business climate that we are creating in our country.
I like your Trump voice.
That's my Trump voice. Okay. He repeated this on February 9th, February 17th, and February 16th. So here's what Washington Post has to say about that quote. This is funny, and it's true. Ford's decision has more to do with the company's long-term goal, particularly its plans to invest in electric vehicles, than with the administration. Meanwhile, the January jobs report showing 230,000 jobs were created reflects the last month of the Obama administration. The data was collected in early January when Obama was still president. This guy forgets that there were still 10 days or 11 days in January when he was elected, whenever he swore his oath. And he's trying to take credit for the 230,000. And that was Obama. Like, that's still Obama, who had a 75-month straight record jobs growth. So no, Trump. And also what it says about, we're bringing back jobs. It doesn't say it here, but Fiat, Chrysler, and Ford, they already had 7 months prior to planned on certain things in Mexico and certain things in the United. Trump had nothing to do with it.
Right.
He's taking credit because it finally kicked in. These were 7 months in the planning before it was, and you can find it. You can actually find articles in July where they were already talking about their investments. So no, they weren't investing in escaping from Mexico or whatever. No, they're still building plants over there. Ford is still building their plant over there. They're just doing a smaller cars division.
Which it goes to show, if he claims to be such the successful businessman, he should know that it takes time to build your strategy. It takes time to really show then what your ROI is. So come on, you're obviously not a successful businessman.
He's not a success. Like his success is based and built on the backs of others. I will bet money he does not know too much about what he has built.
And knowing how to play the system.
Yep, and knowing how to play the system. That's how he built his money. So yeah, he got a small loan, did some things. You buy a couple buildings, and you also just license your name out.
Don't
Bam.
pay taxes.
Nope, slap your name on a building, boom, you're rich. It's like, come on, dude, we already know what you're doing.
Please listen carefully. Please listen carefully.
Once again, make sure you listen to the Zod and Drea podcast by subscribing to one of the following podcast methods: iTunes, Google Play, or YouTube. Visit our website at www.zodanddrea.com to go directly to the links, or if you choose, you can listen to each podcast episode directly on the website under their individual posts.
Want to get involved and have your voice heard on the next podcast? Then be sure to tune in to the question of the week on our website, Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram page. And dial in and leave a message on our voicemail at 323-963-4221.
If you're an advertiser who would like to have your 30-second or 1-minute placement on our podcast or YouTube episode, please contact us at info@zodanddrea.com and we'll send you a price list. Space is limited for each episode.
The next podcast might even have you as a featured guest.
Tune in, check us out, and get involved.
That was quick.
All right, people. We are going to discuss this main topic, which is what does it take to have a successful long-distance relationship. So sit back with your significant other on the phone, on FaceTime, because they're in Germany
Skype.
somewhere.
France, somewhere.
And they're out there, but they're listening. And come away with us on our journey.
So let's first define long distance, because I came across a few people who they just lived in a different town but lived in the same state, maybe like 40 minutes apart.
Yeah, see, to me
that doesn't really count.
That doesn't count. And I've seen that. Like, it's true. I have seen people like, oh man, we're in a long distance. Like, where does she live? Well, I live in New Jersey. She lives in New York. I'm like, son, what are you talking about? You just take the train. Just take the train. So no, that's not long distance. Not to me.
He lives in Surprise, and I live in Gilbert.
Yeah, it's like, come on, that's not, no. We're talking about when you are crossing state, and I'm not talking Jersey, New York state, I'm talking some state lines, cross it where you don't get to see each other, not even every day, but maybe if you work it well, you can see each other once a month or something like that.
And maybe there's time zone changes,
Yeah, time zone, something across the country, fucking Montana and Nebraska, so come on, give me something.
All right, so at least we define what that is.
We define what it is. This is what it is. It takes at least 4 hours for you to drive to see each other without traffic. All right, that's it. That's a long distance relationship. So, would you like to continue?
Sure.
What do you find it to be successful?
Well, I guess I can only compare. I really have only had one long distance relationship, and wasn't just by choice. It just happened to be that he lived in another state than I did. And I, at the time in my life, wanted space. I was busy with my career, busy with school, busy with building other careers and stuff. I just was so busy with my life that this person came along, and I just made it very clear that, look, I have a busy life. I travel a lot. And if you want to participate in that, great. But I wanted space in my life at that time. So it fit. It gave me the space. So during the times when I could incorporate visiting him, or vice versa, he could incorporate times visiting me because he had a life too in where he lived at, then it worked out. And that's really what it was. Like, I didn't make these false expectations of like, oh, well, every night we get to, cuddle each other and, we get to make dinner every night. No, I made it very clear, like, this is the space I like and this is the space I want.
Now, for me, I have had a bunch of them, whether they were friendships, whether they were potentials, whether they were whatever, they were all long distance. God, to even try to run through them is crazy, but, I was open to, I should say, having a long distance when I lived in New York with someone who lived in Germany. Mm-hmm. That didn't work out because her lung collapsed. Then even when I was here in Phoenix, my first date with somebody was when I went to Sweden. Mm-hmm. Like, we had talked, and then our date was when I went to Sweden. Then she came all the way over here, like, the next month, and then we met up in New York. But then she wanted a big relationship, and it got crazy. It got kind of crazy, and I'm like, well, sure, if you lived here, but you got 2 kids, and you can't just leave them. So that's why that couldn't work out. Another one when I was in Jersey and she lived in California. That's actually what brought me to Las Vegas on the West Coast. So, and then even when I lived here, then it was Phoenix, a long distance one. I'm sorry, when I lived in Las Vegas, then she lived in Phoenix, and then that was another one. But then another one when I lived in Phoenix, and then she lived in New Jersey. So I had a whole bunch of them. I wouldn't say they were successful, but it wasn't the distance that would break us up. It was just the compatibility, which, maybe proximity might have something to do with it, depending on what it is and how strong that bond is. But for some, it was just not even growing apart. It's almost like sometimes, for some of them, might have even been the closeness could have made you grow apart. Because what I see in a long-distance relationship that's successful is the ability to miss each other. Mm-hmm. Not just miss each other, but you form a different type of relationship that should be long-standing. So, for instance, you have to get creative with watching movies.
Right.
You may have done this. Maybe you did this with your guy. What the hell was that?
I don't even know.
Anyway, maybe you did this with your guy where you would put on a movie and tell them to put on the same movie at the same time, and you would hit play. And so you would watch the movie together on the phone. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you ever did that. I did that. But it's something, and that's a closeness. And then you talk about the movie afterwards, like, oh my God, that's crazy. When you finally do see each other, it's going to take time for one person to be able to move closer to the other person. Someone's going to have to make that choice.
And I think for a lot of people, when they get to that point, that's the end or be all, right? Like, You've gotten to this point, the dating, the hey, how's it going to work out, the flirtation, the mystery, then comes to a point where it's like, all right, this is reality now. You may live in Denver and I live in LA.
Right.
Who's got kids where? or who's got commitments where, and is somebody in that relationship willing to just make the sacrifice and live, get up and move? Who's willing to do that? Who's willing to really change their life?
Yeah. And it's like, obviously sex is going to become an issue, not necessarily, but, intimacy, I should say, because you can't do it all the time.
It's hard to create that.
And you may want to, but, with the digital age, as long as there is trust there, you might send some sexy pictures.
Right.
We got FaceTime, you can do some little striptease. You can do things that are going to be intimate within that long-distance relationship until you see each other. So you can build a suspense also that you can't always do when you're with somebody all the time. I don't know how it is with married couples, but what they have to do after being years together, what you have to do to refresh something.
Right.
I would see something probably similar even with that. It's like, okay, we're at a long distance. We're going to see each other in, it's January 20th, and it's like, all right, we're going to see each other in 3 weeks, for Valentine's Day. It's like, okay, what are we going to do in that time?
You bring up a good point, though, regarding the digital age, and I'm thinking of trust, because, it's so easy now to FaceTime, to get that almost face-to-face a conversation going on, right? Oh, you can. I knew of someone who was FaceTiming with her boyfriend who had a long-distance relationship with him, and every night at 8:00, they would FaceTime no matter where each other were. Maybe he was at a business dinner, maybe she was someplace else, and she would have to, because she wanted to, would pan the room with the phone to show him where she was, who she was with, to build trust, or maybe ease his insecurities or concerns, or for whatever it is that you want. So going back to what my question was going to be then is, you've got trust, and then you've got all this access now with the digital age. So how do you balance that trust, and how do you really trust that person when they could be so possibly easily distracted by now all of these new things that could be in place for them?
I mean, they could be distracted, but my whole thing goes back to that trust. It's like, to make a successful relationship, trust has to be earned. It has to be earned, and even though it has to be established, respect has to be earned, but trust too, and it has to be established. It's the foundation of building a relationship. And like, sometimes for some people, distance isn't the best thing, because if I have to show you the room just to ease your conscience because you think that I'm getting a blowjob or something, like, you know what I mean? It's like, why do I have to do that if you trust that I am the person you want to be with? Trust my words. If you don't trust my words, then there's an issue. You don't trust me. And for me to have to prove it to you, to me, that could be a problem distance-wise. And that leads to another problem where distance-wise, it's harder to settle arguments too.
Right.
Or, disagreements. It's like, okay, well, what is it? Because somebody slams the phone, they can end the conversation. They can just end the conversation that easily. Well, I guess you don't slam the phone these days. You just press a button. It's like, bloop. Okay, that's it.
Not the plastics or our phones.
Yeah, our phone.
That.
Well, you were like, slam. Like, they heard that
Meant
shit,
it.
too. They heard it. I had to buy a new phone every week. And with long distance, it's harder to ease that person's mind. So that's one of those things where you are having to travel to that person. Like when I was dating this woman over in California, and I lived in Jersey, we would see each other, and I'm not even lying, there was no time within 2 weeks we didn't see each other, whether she traveled there or I traveled back. And that was in order to not just establish trust, but also try to build the relationship. And it worked for a while. The reason we broke up was because she kept cheating on me, but it wasn't even a distance thing. Even when I moved closer, like, that's just what she was doing. And so, like, for some people, distance might even work better. Who knows? Maybe they think they have some autonomy. They can cheat. They can do whatever they want. But if they are that way, I think they're just going to stay that way for a while. So it didn't matter if I was closer or not. That's just the person. That's what that person is. They just, I think they're different now. But
so, do you think the long distance relationships in some cases really give you the opportunity for that person to reveal who they are? Because then they might be living a different life with
they might be
you and
someone else. Oh man, you remember we were looking at that Ashley Madison? Remember that Ashley Madison?
Oh, that documentary that was so interesting.
There were people. There are people out there who do have different lives. With they are married to some. Like, if we wanted to get on, this is a whole other topic. But
a good topic.
But where they are seeing somebody, maybe a distance away, and they're paying for them, but they're living with their wives. I mean, it's almost the same type of concept. It's like you're seeing somebody, you're splitting yourself in two to see somebody, but what do you have to maintain that relationship? Especially a lot of them with a person they're dating doesn't even know they're married. They are in the long-distance relationship, and this guy's just cheating.
All right. So what would be the red flags for that for people then?
Yeah, like, what is the red flag? Like, come on. It's like, I understand that people have their needs and whatever, but, my point, extramarital, that's, you know me, that's nothing to me. I've participated, I've been the other guy, in a few things, but, in an ideal situation, it's like, just let your spouse know. Like, let them know if that's what you're doing or if you're going through some shit. Like, if that's what you're going through, then just let them know, but that's a whole other topic. But it does rely on the topic of honesty and who you are in yourself and what you want for yourself as well. So, with a long distance, you have to know that this is something that you want. She or he is what you want. And you are willing to fight for that person until you get to meet up with them, see what they're about until it's longer than just a weekend,
right.
And do things with them. Like, make sure you do build that. You want a long relationship. You have to establish things that you do together. And you can even meet. So let's say, it is a thing where you live in California and this person lives in New Jersey. We would meet in Las Vegas and have lots of Vegas fun because that's the meeting spot where we would do things together. I can see somebody else doing the same thing. Hey, you live over there. I live over there. Let's go canoeing in Denver.
Right.
All right,
and
cool.
I agree that is like you to participate in what is fun for each other. You create memories. You create something of an equal bond and a bond that is of mutual interest.
Yep.
So this way you create. But for me, I guess what didn't last for me with the relationship was that just too many things going on in his world. Just too many things to where...
Like what?
Too many things were pulling at him with the family responsibilities with his kids.
See, that's different when they have kids.
Yeah, it's a lot. And business was just a lot for him too. And it just got to the point where... I was having to work around another schedule based on what other people needed besides just me seeing that person. You know what I mean? And I wasn't at that point in the relationship where I was like, okay, yeah, I can sacrifice stuff. We were just still in the beginning of it. So I wasn't invested that much. So I was like, well, it's time for me to go then. And I'm going to get out of here before things get really, really crazy. For me, that was a lot. That was a red light of like, all right, if I'm already having to be the third person in the whole concept of how to create a relationship, then I don't want to deal with it no more. I had fun. Bye.
And it's like, what's funny about some people? Like some people I've also seen, even with long distance, they aren't friends on social media.
Yeah,
have you ever seen that?
That's a big deal.
See, to me, that's a red flag, and I think that you have to be. You have to be friends on social media. You have to establish, even if you start off as friends, which is the best thing to do. But if you're really looking at that long distance relationship, you have to friend each other, and you have to look at each other's activities and be curious about them. Be happy for them. It's like,
don't be stalkerish.
No, don't stalk her. But it's like just look and see. Like, hey, I wish I was part of that.
Right.
So, I don't know. It's like, I think really healthy relationships, long distance, they can work just like the ones that are closer to you. But, just have an open mind. Make sure you're close to each other. Do FaceTime, do sexy things together. And I think it'll just work out for the best, especially once trust is established.
And that's the thing. You just got to establish the trust early on.
Yeah, establish it early on.
Wow.
Just to continue real quick. For me, I think... it was also the surprise of just missing that person, wanting to see them, the hugs and all that, and then just saying goodbye was just the hardest part, which made me want to see them again. And then when you did, hey, cool, you had fun. But, tell us what you guys think.
Yeah, give us your thoughts. What do you think about this topic? You can... And where can everyone reach us at?
You can at Zod Andrea. So the @ Zod Andrea on everything. I don't even need to go into it.
You guys should know it by now.
Find a social media. Put @ Zod Andrea, and you'd be like, oh shit, there they are.
So yeah, let us know.
All right, so we're gonna come back at you with the next topic next week. So until then, not just give us your feedback. I mean, you can even try to call the line and see if you can get your voice on here. But if you also want a topic and if you want to actually be on the show, make sure you hit us up also at info@zodsandrea.com.
Till next time.
All right.